My name is Vijay Singh. I have done BSc B.Ed, Regional Institute of Education, NCIT Bhopal, and I have done MSc from Barkatullah University, Bhopal, Madhya Pradesh. Today we have discussed about 5 chapters of science, chemistry. MP board examination is going on 2nd March 2022. First chapter is chemical reactions and equations. Second chapter is acids and bases and salts. Third chapter is metals and non-metals. Fourth chapter is carbon and its compounds. Fifth chapter is periodic classification of elements. First chapter is chemical reactions and equations. What do you mean by chemical reactions? Chemical reaction is a chemical reaction are those reactions which have represent reactants and products. Example is magnesium reacts with oxygen then form magnesium oxide. What do you mean by reactions? Those participate in reaction, these are called reactants, and new substances are formed, these are called products. What are the types of chemical reactions? There are different types of chemical reactions. Name the chemical reactions are combination reaction or addition reaction. Second reaction is displacement reaction. Third reaction is double displacement reaction. Fourth reaction is substitution reaction, exothermic reaction, endothermic reaction. What do you mean by addition reaction? Addition reactions, those reactions which have combined of reactants, then a single product is formed. These reactions are called combination reaction or addition reactions. Example is magnesium reacts with oxygen, then form magnesium oxide. Carbon reacts with oxygen, then form carbon dioxide. Number second is displacement reaction. The high reactive element displace low reactive elements. These reactions are called displacement reaction. Displacement reaction, how will you modify of this displacement reaction? Displacement reaction modified by reactivity series. High reactive elements is potassium and least reactive is gold. Then reaction copper reacts with sulfuric acid. What happened? Then form copper sulfate. This reaction is called displacement reaction. Double displacement reaction, exchange of ions in reactions. This reaction is called double displacement reactions. Example is barium sulfate reacts with copper sulfate, then form barium sulfate and copper sulfate. It is wrong reaction, it is not correct. Barium chloride reacts with sulfuric acid, exchange of ions. These reactions are called double displacement reactions. What do you mean by exothermic reactions? Exothermic reactions, those reactions which have released heat, these reactions are called exothermic reactions. Like combustion of methane, methane reacts with oxygen, then form carbon dioxide plus H2O plus heat. This reaction is called exothermic reaction. And methane is a natural gas. Endothermic reaction, those reactions in which absorb heat, these reactions are called endothermic reactions. Example is carbon reacts with oxygen in the presence of heat, then form carbon dioxide gas. Calcium carbonate, displacement of calcium carbonate displacement in the presence of heat then from calcium oxide plus oxygen. Calcium oxide is a quicklime, and what do you mean by substitution reaction? Substitution reaction means methane reacts with chlorine, then replace of hydrogen, then from methyl chloride. This reaction is called substitution reaction. What do you mean by corrosion? When when ferric oxide reacts with moisture and oxygen, then from iron reacts with oxygen and moisture, then form rust of iron. Formula of rust of iron is Fe2O3 XH2O, and uh, prevent of corrosion, painting, galvanization, and other things. What do you mean by rancidity? Rancidity is present in food like like oil and sometimes pickles. Rancidity. Second chapter is acids, bases, and salts. What do you mean by salts? Salts contain plus ions and negative ions. Salt like sodium chloride, potassium chloride, copper sulfate, and bases. What do you mean by bases? Bases dissolve in water, dissociate into hydroxyl ion. These are called bases. Example is sodium hydroxide, barium hydroxide, silver nitrate, silver hydroxide, and calcium hydroxide. These are bases. Acid dissolve in water, dissociate into hydrogen ions. These are acids. Acids like acetic acid, CH3, COH, HCl, nitric acid, etc. What is the formula of bleaching powder? CaOCl2. What is the formula of gypsum? CaSO4 2H2O. What is the formula of magnesium hydroxide? MgOH twice. What is the formula of aluminum chloride? AlCl3. How will you make formula? You know about the balancing. Number of electrons present in outermost shell. Example is sodium. Electron configuration of sodium is 281. Valency of 1. Sodium is metal. And how will you make formula? Copper sulfate. What is the valency of copper? 2 plus, and sulfate polyatomic ions 2 minus, then form CuSO4, copper sulfate. What is the formula of plaster of Paris? Calcium sulfate hemihydrate. How will you prepare washing soda? How will you prepare washing soda? Washing soda, sodium carbonate reacts with 10H2O, then form washing soda, Na2CO3, 10H2O, then form. And all students, please study about preparation. You have studied all preparations in chapter 2nd. And what is the means by ionic bond? The transfer of electrons between two atoms, like sodium oxide. Sodium oxide formula is Na2O. There is two atoms of sodium and one atom of oxygen. Sodium contains one valence electron and oxygen contains six valence electrons. Transfer of electrons. Sodium gaining and losing of electron. Sodium lost one electron, gain of oxygen one electron, and other sodium atom lost one electron, oxygen gain one electron. Octet is complete of oxygen. So there is sodium contains 2 Na plus charge and oxygen contains complete octet 2 minus charge. What do you mean by ionic bond contains high melting and boiling points? Because breaking of bonds required high energy. So ionic compounds contain high melting and boiling points. Third chapter is metals and non-metals. What do you mean by metals? Metals, loss of electrons, contain positive ions. These are called metals. Metals are lustrous. Metals can be polished. Metals are good conductor, heat and electricity. Metals sonorous. Metals have high melting and boiling points. Non-metals. Non-metals contain negatively charged and gaining of electrons. It is called non-metals. Non-metals like oxygen, nitrogen, sulfur, fluorine, chlorine, bromine, iodine. These are non-metals. Properties of non-metals. Non-metals are not lustrous. Non-metals cannot be polished. Non-metals are not good conductors, heat and electricity. All all properties opposite are metals. It is